wrong. I do time. Let's go.
So that's the list.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I wanted to ask about was the interludes, because I think this is the only record that I've heard. It can't be the only record that I've heard, but it's probably one of the only records I've heard where the interludes are about highlighting, or at least a lot of them about highlighting the actual band members, people who don't get a lot of shine on albums.
That's exactly.
Where did that come from?
That's exactly why I did it.
Yeah.
I was like, these folks that play in the band, our front singers always get to shine. That's the nature of being in a band. That's what it is. But I felt like these guys are excellent musicians. Like people need to see it and need to celebrate it. And it was like ode to what we do at every show anyway. So, at the end of the show, we introduce the band. Everybody does a little solo. So I was like, let's get that live feeling at the end of during the album. So that people would feel like they're at one of our shows, you know? Right. So it was both of those pieces together, making sure they got that shine and making sure it still felt like our album felt like the show, So I think they were owed that, so I made sure that I was like, I'm definitely going to have all of y'all come in here and do your thing on these interludes.
Yeah.
But then we also had like Jeannie Jones in one of the songs, intro on one of the songs, and she had been with us at these, I think Bar None. I think she was with us at Bar None, and she was at 95.5, I think at the time, or 95. 93.9, maybe 93.9 WK, maybe she was at WKYS at the time. And I asked her, and she was like, I'll do a drop for you on this. And she sent that over. There was a guy that used to record for us, that used to record at our studio, named Big Shorty Route 40.
Yeah.
He was a comedian, artist, and everything in between, total businessman. And he was hilarious. So I was like, hey, Big Shorty, can you just talk?
Right.
Talk about something on it, and that's our intro. That's how this album starts off with. Big Shorty, Route 40. He was real close with Cat Williams back then. If you hear me, almost sound like Cat too.
Yeah.
But he was doing a lot of shows and things, so we had him come in and do some of that. That was like you said, that was another benefit of us performing and having a studio, that you could bring all these people in and do these additional things too.
Yeah.
My favorite memory recording with YaMama'Nym, that would probably be our Christmas album when we did that. And I got to do Christmas Time Is Here. As a big fan of Charlie Brown and just Christmas in general, it was really a joy to be able to record our own version of that. And that was, I want to say, Sam Prather actually produced that one as well. And it was just something that, will stand the test of time. The Christmas album is a staple for any artist. So I was really excited and happy to be part of that.
I think if we're talking records that we actually wrote, I would say I like Solar Tranquility. That song, it was the only song that Brian wrote on the first record that he actually performed on the record. Like I said before, Brian was the lead singer for YaMama'Nym, but he didn't record any of the records. Like, he just sang live, and then we actually got him to come to the studio to record Solar Tranquility, which was like, he had a string of songs that all had the same chord changes. Like, he had a song called Marijuana, and I'm trying to think of all the songs he had, but they were all like A flat, E flat, D flat. They all kind of had the same movement, and he would just sing like a medley of songs over the same stuff. And but talented guy. Like, I'm not taking anything away from him. Super talented guy. And so Solar Tranquility from the first record, I would say for sure. And I think that was one of the bigger songs from that record. And then from Due Time, it would have been the title track, Due Time. The last funny story I'll tell, because I told this story the other day. So I don't know which show we were getting ready for, but we used to practice between, but I think it was before Trey got the studio in Highlandtown, which was very scary. It's like going to the wire. It was fucking scary. Like, like you want to be over there at night, and we were over there at night a lot, and it was like it was like the spooky side of Baltimore for the most part. But it was cool because we didn't run into any issues or nothing like that, and the people around there were cool. It just looked like the wire, right? So before he got that spot, we used to rehearse at UMBC. And before he got the spot, we used to rehearse at UMBC, and I think Sam couldn't do a show or something. We didn't have a lot of keyboard players. Keyboard players in this area are kind of like streaky anyway. But Sam couldn't do a show. And at the time, I think I was still working at the Hard Rock Cafe, like during the day. And I had ran into a friend, a childhood friend or like a childhood classmate named Quincy Stubbs is his name. I'm about to call him Quincy Jones. His name was Quincy Stubbs. And I had ran into him on the train. I was taking the metro to work one day. And I think I had my guitar on me or my bass on me. And he saw me and he's like, "Hey, Dennis, you still playing?" Like, we struck with conversation. He's like, "You still playing?" I was like, "Yeah, man. Like, I'm actually headed to rehearsal now. Like, I got some stuff going on." And he was like, "Oh, I'm playing keys now." And I was like, "Oh, that's dope. Like, give me your number. Like, if you out here, we can link up." And it just so happened that Sam couldn't do a show, and we were having a rehearsal that Sam said he couldn't do. And then I was like, "Oh, I ran into this dude that I went to school with. He said he played." And I didn't even think you couldn't check. Like there was no Instagram back then. You couldn't go to somebody's Instagram and see if they actually could play. You just had to take their word for it if they could play or not. And I took this fool's word for it. And we had a rehearsal at UMBC. And I drove him to UMBC. Like I went and got him and drove him to UMBC. So we talking on the way up, and I'm like, "Yeah, did you get a chance to listen to music?" It's like we playing covers, but like we also got some original music that we kind of working out, we fleshing out, and we need you to be able to play stuff. He's like, "Oh yeah, man, I checked out all the music. It's cool, man. It's cool." And I'm walking into this rehearsal confident because I'm like, this dude said he can play. I went to junior high school with him. We didn't go to high school, so like, what I remember about him from junior high school was that he was like, he aspired to play. Like when I started playing bass, he also started playing bass. But it wasn't because he was interested in playing bass. He was interested in the girl that I was dating who was also playing bass. So he was taking the class because she was taking the class. And after she dropped, he dropped, and I stayed. And that's how I started playing bass. But yeah, so we riding up, and I'm feeling cool about it because I'm like, I'm talking to him about like, not like really in-depth theory, but I'm like, just kind of like, the song kind of moves like this. We having a cool conversation. Get to the rehearsal. I introduced him to everybody, and we start like, all right, we won't have a lot of time, so let's start this song up. And we start playing, and he goes to play the piano, but he's only playing like one note with like one finger. It's like, everybody's looking around like, okay. And we stopped the song. It was like, "Yo, you know the song?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I know the song. It's cool." And it was like Lady by D'Angelo or something like that. Like nothing. Like if you played this like the open mic circuit, you knew the song, right? And he never played the line. He never played the line. He just played ding ding. So we stopped the song again. It was like, and Trey pulled me away. He's like, "Yo, you might want to talk to your man." I was like, "I'm gonna take him outside and talk to him." So I took him outside. I was like, "Yo, let's sit in the car and just listen to some of these songs again." Because I'm like, I don't think you getting like something's not clicking. He go back in the car. We listen to like one or two songs. He's like, "Yeah, man, I got it. It's this. I'm like, he ain't got it. And he comes back in, and we start another song, and he just ding one note. I was like, all right, this rehearsal's over. And I was like, Well, you made me look bad, one. Two, and then I gotta drive you back 45 minutes to DC. So like now I gotta sit in the car with you for 45 minutes and then not have the conversation about how you just butchered this rehearsal. So get in the car. I don't even think I talked to him on the way back home. I just blasted music or something like that. And then we got to his spot. He was like, yeah, man, so when the next rehearsal? I was like, yo, I hit you. And pulled off. And like never saw that dude again. Maybe like on Facebook or something. But like I never saw that dude again. But that was my one of my funniest stories that I actually set myself up with. So
So one of the things I think about a lot from the standpoint of musicians and from the standpoint of being a presenter is that there's really two groups of people when it comes to people who listen to music. There's your consumers, people who music is just sort of the background to their lives. For them, the only music that's relevant is the music that came out from when they were 15 to about 25.
Right.
And that's
Right.
But everything else is like it passes by them. There's also the connoisseurs for whom they dig into bass lines and snare hits and guitar solos and chord progressions and all of that stuff.
Yep.
If you're a musician, I don't care about the consumers at all. I'm not interested in what they think.
Right.
A producer doesn't have that luxury.
No.
A producer has to tap into.
Absolutely.
They have to extract all of the stuff that because they're connoisseurs, but they have to package it for the consumers.
Yeah.
How is that process?
And that's the tough part, and something I'm still tackling to this day. It's not an easy thing. Like, I give it to some of these folks that do it so seamlessly. It's harder for me because I do tap into more of the, not the consumer, but the, what did you say?
Connoisseur.
The connoisseur.
Yeah.
I tap into that more. I told you I'm a lyrics guy.
Right.
So I really dig, like, really good lyrics, you know? So when I hear those little changes that I said I had to make, that's me talking about the consumer.
Right.
And I hate that sometimes. I hate that I have to do that for the consumer because they're fickle.
Right.
Consumers are really fickle, and it's just like whatever is popular, that's what they gravitate to.
Yeah.
And they're not really listening. They just like, oh, I heard this on the radio 10,000
Right.
times, so I love it. Doesn't make a difference how good it is. So that's a tough place to be, to find those, and it's hard. It's hard for me to find that place where I'm like, all right, I'll do this, you know, this maybe dumbed down version of something so that I can get to the consumer.
Right.
And it's been I would be much more successful if I was better at that.
Yeah.
But it's a tough space to be. And sometimes you make those calls that says, hey, look, we got to rethink about the consumer more than anything.
Yeah.
So, and that's some of the what we did on this album. We tried to, I consciously thought about how do we break into more consumers, you know, and I think we already had the other piece, but we were really trying to get into that space. I think we were mildly successful at it, but it's a tough one as a producer to balance that piece. You're right.
And I imagine it's probably hard to do too. First of all, you're doing an album that's mostly based around live music,
Yep.
which requires your audience to stretch a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the DC audience is primed for that.
Yeah.
They're gonna give you a lot of leeway where that's concerned, but obviously you're reaching out for many markets, not just that markets that are receptive to that kind of thing. That's got to be tough in terms of putting this album together. And I'm hearing that a lot of the stuff that made the album got there because of the live show. It works in the live show, so we got to get it in the record.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Like, it is a tough. It was definitely a place of making sure that what we do, we're true to who we are. You know what I mean? We're true to what our sound is. We're true to what we were aiming for with the group. We stay true to that. In my opinion, we had to stay true to that. But at the same time, putting things in there to say, okay, well, let's expand that audience a bit. You know, let's open up the book so we can bring in a younger person that really doesn't care about how good the bass line is, or how intricate it is, I should say, but something that they can just feel, you know.
Right.
That's where like a Just Stay With Me comes from. It's like, yeah, let's do something that's just like that groove. It's somewhat like that, you know, but we still keep our elements of, my thought was to keep the elements of the live band in there.
Right.
And even when we did some of those songs, you still gonna hear some of that in there. It's always gonna be a part. Even when I make music now, I'll still say, all right, I'm using a machine or whatever, but I'm going to add in some of those elements, you know, that make it live, you know. So so it's right, wrong, or indifferent. It's part of me, you know. I can't take that piece away, and it's how that band was formed. So we were doing everything like live, and you know, we were in the basements and coming up with things. So that's how we had to keep. I had to keep that element of it in this album too.
Yeah. If you're doing this album today, how do you approach it different than you did back then?
Probably today, a lot of the machine stuff I would have inserted that more of that in there, like the more reasons work. We were just starting to really get into the reasons thing, using programs like the Reasons by Propeller Head. I would use like native instruments. Like today, I would use a lot of that because I do think that, you know, that's a piece of it that now I can appreciate. Back then, I might not appreciate it, but now I'm like, I can appreciate that. I probably would have took a lot of songs off. Like there's some songs I was like, man, that just won't make it. We would have a shorter album. And I probably would be a little more cutthroat than I would this day. Like I was very big in making sure everybody was included when we did the album. I want everybody to feel that way. I probably would be a little more shrewd now and say, hey, yeah, you're going to do this piece, and that's it.
Right. Yeah.
You know, that's what it needs. It's going to be that. I still want everybody to feel, you know, important, but at the same time, the sound and what we're trying to achieve, it should take precedent over everybody's quote unquote feelings.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably how I would make things different. And much shorter album probably, and add more electronic feel than we did at the time, even more so. And still sprinkle in more of our sound in there.
Yeah. We talked recently a little bit about the fact that a lot of people talk about this, nobody does albums anymore. Actually, I'm hearing more of a little bit of a resurgence. It's more of a backlash to this idea that everything has to be a single and streaming and all that stuff. I'm seeing people's that stuff on Amazon that says it's an album, it's one song.
And that's crazy.
And that's the whole thing. Albums are difficult because you're trying to make a statement with a bunch of stuff that's disparate, and you're trying to tell a story or make a through line. How does that, because you've got projects you're working on now, projects you've been working on recently. Like, how do you wrestle with that now in terms of, you know, like commercially, commercial viability for these projects as opposed to just, you know, releasing a single at a time and things like that?
Yeah, so I'm just stubborn. I mean, that's really what it is. I'm like, hey, this is how I learned it. This is what I like. I'm going to do it that way. It's probably not the right thing to be, but I'm not hurting right now, so that's what I do. But, yeah, that's really what it is. The industry is saying something completely different. They're, hey, come up with a good single. That's what you need. But I think about the connoisseur, and I really think about I don't, like you said, that group that listen to that stuff that they hear from 15 to 25. I want to make something that they can look at the whole body of work. You know, I get it. Tension is gone now. So that's why everybody gets a single out, because it's like, hey, move to the next thing. Then you're not worried about it, you know. Move on now. Listen to that a bunch of times and move to the next thing. So why spend so much time on an album? I think that's the thought process. Yeah. My thing is, I want to make a piece. You know what I mean? I want it to be a full piece. I can't have a single and it's from a producer standpoint,
right,
and make it a full piece. I needed to tell a full story, you know. Right. And that's why the projects I do now for myself is those producer albums. I'm making a full story, you know. Right. I'm making it a movie, you know. So that's what I really still, like I said, it's a lot of stubbornness in me, and that's where I really go back to.
Gotcha. Well, it's been fun, man. What do you got? What's on the horizon for you?
Still working on some more. Like I mentioned, working on another 2 a.m. love stories. Never go away from 2 a.m. That's the label name. Right. That's what we do. So still working on that. I get to work with Liz a lot. I work with her currently, and we write a lot. She's great, excellent writer and vocalist. She'll do all my stuff, and then I go and find these other people to go sing, try to do what she does, right. Which sometimes is a challenge for folks. So still had my roots back with the folks from YaMama'Nym, but it was a great time. I mean, we spent I think about those times, and when you know, we talk about it, or I hear the folks talk about their time with the band, it takes me back to maybe this time might have been like the best time of my life. Yeah. I mean, because we were touring, the tours were great. Going to Japan and going to all countries that I never thought I would ever see. South Korea, who knew I would be at the demilitarized zone in South Korea one day? Right. I mean, I'm not in the military, so who thought I would ever be there? And I think at times I would wake up and I'd be like, I remember one time in Japan, I'm like, I am in Japan. Like, I'm sitting in Japan. Yeah. I'm hanging out in Japan. My grandfather would be proud. That's what made me feel good, is that I'm like, we're in these tours and my grandfather would just be proud of my grandson. He's a sharecropper down in South Carolina. I have a grandson that's all over the world doing music and seeing all these things. So it was surreal, you know. It was a little surreal with the band, and sometimes you get so caught up with delivering the package, you know, making sure that you doing what you have to do. But I did. I took a lot of time when we were out to really soak in what was happening. Yeah. Even going back to Atlanta. You know, like I became a man in Atlanta when I went to Morehouse. You know, so going back there and being able to perform, it was a great thing. You know, going to Missouri, you remember going to St. Louis. Yeah. We sitting on a boat performing, right. On a casino boat performing, and it was great. It was crazy. That whole trip was crazy, and getting stuck on the train. Oh my God, getting stuck on the train was crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But we ended up having great friends. Like, I think I've talked about Montreal before, and meeting them and lifelong friends now, you know. But those times to me were some of the best times in my life. I take those experiences and I give it to my kids, and I say, you know, really take advantage of this time. You're never gonna have this kind of time ever again. You really need to take advantage of it and absorb it like I did. Soak it all in and understand, hey, like my son's in New York now, New York, and I'm like, yeah, take all that in. Enjoy it and really relish in what you're doing. And that's one thing I'll say is going out with that band, and I know we don't talk as much, and you know, there's different feelings about whatever going on with the band right now, but I really spent more time with these people than I did my family. So they really became my family. I'm in the studio with them all night. I know them. I know these people. I mean, I may not know them now, but I know who they are. I know who they were there. And I don't think my opinion of people, they don't change for so much. Right. You know, who you are back in those 20s, 30s is who you are. Right. You know, 20s. In those 20s is who you are. So I still believe that, even though I'm talking to them, people may feel how they feel. I still believe I know those people, and they may not agree, but I do. I feel like I could be around them again, and I'd be like, I know who you are. I know. I spent so much time with you. I've had so many discussions with you. Like, we spend time in the studio on the tour. We'd just be talking, you know.
Right.
It would just be us having conversations. So I feel like that time and getting to know people like that changes how you are too, you know, because then you start really listening to other people's point of views and things, and you start realizing like, I never thought about things like that.
Yeah.
So I do cherish those times with them.
Okay, so as far as touring and performing, I think that the USO tours are probably like a huge thing. We got to go to like 30 bases in Korea, in South Korea, and we even saw the demilitarized zone in North Korea. I forgot the name of the base that had all the fake jerseys and stuff like that, but it was really dope. And the troops were super appreciative of having some black music being played. Most of the time, all they got was country and Western bands. So it was definitely cool to be appreciated. And then when we went to the Middle East, I remember that when we first got to Kyrgyzstan and we brought all of our equipment, the first thing we were looking outside the plane, we saw those people taking all of our equipment marked fragile and manhandling it. Like, there was one of my speakers that they just like threw literally like 15 feet. They didn't even bother giving us the speaker. They just gave us a ticket for the insurance. Like, we'll pay for it. That was definitely kind of interesting. I think actually they purposefully opened up the mixer, which was in a hard case, and like they had to hit the buttons with a hammer or something. They were just like completely being vindictive because they didn't want to pick up this heavy thing and treat it nicely. So anyway, it was a good time though.
It was so long ago. For the most part, I recall it being just a really new experience for me. I've never done anything like that. That was the first time for me, and I've done some tours since, but that was, I think, the first time I actually left the country and did tour for singing. You know, I always wanted to be a singer. You know, I was the type that, sung in church and choirs, did some vocal lessons, but I was a part of a group of artists and musicians who studied music and did things like this before. So this was my first time doing and experiencing that. So it was just an all new experience for me, and I was open to whatever came. The tired nights, the bus, the changing in bathrooms, figuring out how to do your makeup behind the scenes, and then getting out there and performing for people. And I actually enjoyed it. So yeah, that was pretty much my first experience, and it was a wonderful one.
If I recall, the biggest thing is just us getting to do what we love in front of our family and friends very often, because they enjoy what we were doing so much that they came out to see us and support us regularly. And I feel like that was the real beauty of the entire band. Like, everybody had friends and family that always wanted to see all of us. It wasn't just them coming out to see you or one person in the band. They liked the whole sound. We got a lot of fans that way. And then it was just an all-around good show also. We was putting on a very, very good show. So I think that's really what stands out to me about touring and everything. We did a lot of shows in the DMV area, all around the world actually. So, it was a good time for everybody.
My first tour internationally was with YaMama'Nym. We went to South Korea and Japan with the Armed Forces Entertainment Tour. And this was after 2 a.m. and I think around the time that we had released Due Time. So we had went through several installments of that group at that point. We started with like 8 people, went down to 4, went back up to like 7 or 8 again, and then we went to like 14, went back down to 4, and then by the time we got to go to Africa, we had like a really solid unit of like 8 people, 4 musicians, 4 singers. And that tour, we were gone for like a month and a half, maybe a little shorter, but for the most part, we were gone for like a month. And I remember like, just taking in different, cultures, for the first time, like getting out of the country and like being in Asia was different because it's like 12 hours ahead. And like every time you talk to somebody back home, it was like in the future. But also like it was at the time where like things were like culturally shifting. Like America was like having an impact globally, like that was different, like culturally, like fashion, all that stuff. And like so when you get to Asia, it was kind of like being home a little bit. Like I went back a couple years later, and it was like being in New York was kind of crazy. But I do remember playing for the troops, and then being really appreciative that we were there, staying on the bases. One of my favorite times was in Osan because Osan it has like this really big base. For servicemen and servicewomen. And when you step outside the base, it's like a big shopping center, like an outdoor shopping center, but it's all the same store. So you got like clothing store, shoe store, like bag store, jewelry store, and it just repeats. And it's like for miles. And you can just go and just barter. I want to buy like 4 or 5, like at the time we talking like 2004, 2005 or something like that. Like everybody's wearing like throwback jerseys. And I was like, I was just buying jerseys for like, you see like the price tag on them for like $300, and it was like they actually selling them for like $20. It was like, oh, okay, I can buy like 4 or 5. Oh, let me plan. I can buy like 4 or 5 jerseys and be done with it. And like I came back with a bunch. I was giving my family jerseys and all stuff. Like it was a really cool time. Performing, I remember doing a lot of shows and a lot of practicing. We used to practice a lot. Like I came from a program in college that was really based in excellence and like striving for having the best players and the best people. So I kind of tried to bring that to the element of the band I was helping to create, and I used to practice them like like we used to be in practice for hours just going over the same stuff. And I was like, my band director in high school used to be like, I'm gonna practice till I get tired of hearing it. Like when I get tired of hearing it, then you can move on to something else. So that's kind of the mentality that I took initially with your mom. And it was like when I would get tired of hearing it, we can move on to something else. But for the most part, I was like, I never got tired of hearing anything. I was like, y'all can rehearse till 2 o'clock in the morning, and which ironically was the first album title as well. So.
And you're right. I mean, look, it's just like your regular family. There's people in your family that you are close to today, and maybe there's some that you're not so close to. But in the end, my impressions of that were we all kind of came from the same place, and we all kind of germinated in the same bucket for a long time. So that fuses you to people no matter what. So no matter where we go, we'll be connected to each other. And I always, the people that came from that group, I see them in my timeline all the time. A lot of us are doing really interesting things, doing big work, still in the space, which is hard to do with that time frame.
And think about it. Me and Dennis, I had the concept. Dennis was working with me on some stuff from Myra, I think we talked about before, and he had the same kind of thought. He wanted to do something similar. He had already started working with some bands, putting together a band with Sam and I think Marcus at the time, and I forgot the other guy's name. Trump, a saxophone player. But they were working doing that thing. So I was like, you go pull some people, I'll pull some people, and we'll form this big unit of band, And thinking about just organically that happening, and then next thing you know, you're on the other side of the world. It's great to see something like that happen and come to fruition. And then when I see people doing stuff now, I'm like, I'm proud of it. I'm not saying that I take credit for what they're doing now, but I'm like, I had a hand in helping you develop what you do now. I had a hand. Your first tour, all those people's first tour was with YaMama'Nym.
Right.
First time they might be touring with other people now, be playing with other people, played on some big stages, but your first time that you got to go out and do this and make some money and do it for real was with us, you know, and got to hone your craft. So I feel proud about that.
Yeah.
I'll end by saying that I'm really glad that this music exists. It is a real soundtrack to a very important portion of my life. So 20 years and looking forward to hopefully getting on the stage sometime in the future and maybe getting a couple of those tunes back in.
Again, this is me, Dennis, signing off. I appreciate Trey for giving me the opportunity to tell my stories about YaMama'Nym. And I will say again, like, it was really cool working with a really driven group of people at the time. Like, everybody had like the right energy around the projects and around like the creation of YaMama'Nym. It didn't go without its ups and downs. It shares ups and downs and all that stuff. You know, like when you work that closely with people, like you're gonna have those riffs and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, like some of my earlier, fonder musical like experiences and memories come from YaMama'Nym. Like I had some of the most fun and some of the most challenging musical stuff happen. I think it further developed me as a leader, you know, to be able to be in charge that young and like take the helm and kind of like direct people and guide people like in the way that I saw fit, you know. And it with Sam too, like it was like, you know, I always thought it'd be like I'm the MD, Sam's the vocal guy, like he's the vocal director because he sang in it. And I was like, you can work with them, and then I would focus on the music stuff. And it was really cool to have that kind of like in tandem, like Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis kind of like duo, like duo punch like that. So I'm really appreciative of the lessons that I got from YaMama'Nym and you know, being a part of that unit. My mom still listens to 2 a.m. I can't. I listen to it and I'm just like, oof. Like, but not because it's bad. It's just because it was a time where like I get nostalgic about it because it does remind me of like how tight knit we were back then. And it also going from 2 a.m. to due time, listening to like the growth that happened within those 3 years between the two records. So, you know, it's really like, I'm really proud to say I was a part of that unit and, you know, and helping to build that unit and, you know, what it became. So thank you guys for taking the time to listen to me and my stories. And I'm sure if you hit me some other time, you could get more stories out of me. I got tons of stories. Most stuff was PG. I kept it kind of PG.
I'm very grateful for the opportunity with YaMama'Nym to be on the project, to tour, to get over the hump of nervousness, to sing in public. For me, it really introduced me to myself as an artist. It started really the opening of that door and really walking through it and finding my confidence. And so I was able to since then do other tours, sing for different artists, local artists, and continue to write. Trey and I still work on things and write for other people and being comfortable in my skin and in my own voice. And so I'm forever grateful for YaMama'Nym.
YaMama'Nym always hold a special place in my heart, being as though this was the first musical family that I had that was able to just, you know, expose my gifts to the world. You know, being able to travel overseas, being able to record and, you know, have your music heard in places around the world that you didn't know were possible. You know, your voice and your energy contributed to all of this. So, you know, I'll forever be thankful and grateful for all the doors and all the opportunities that it provided for us. Yeah, man. YaMama'Nym. That's how you say it.
Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, man. Always.
Much more.
Always.
All right.
Things get better.